guys own a Canon mirrorless camera, such as the Canon EOS M3 or M6 or M50 or M100? Well, as you can see behind me right now, it's springtime and it's a fantastic time of the year to get out and about and take photos and videos of stuff. So let's have a look at some of these lenses. Now there is in fact a bunch of different lenses that you can get for this camera. The standard lens that pretty much everybody starts off with is the 15 to 45mm kit lens. If you get that lens, you're pretty much going to get, you know, all-round versatility. But you know, that type of a lens, it's a jack of all trades but a master of none. So if you want a master of a trade, you got to get one of these. So let me show you these lenses. This lens is expensive. This is the 11 to 22mm vlogging wide angle lens. One of the things about the wide angle lens, just like the wide angle lens that I'm filming with this video, is that when you pop out to the side, your face kind of gets stretched and distorted. The same thing happens when you use this lens, but it's not quite as bad as this lens here that I'm filming this on. But overall, the 11 to 22mm lens is going to give you fantastic context and field of view. That's why you get this lens. This lens also has built-in image stabilization. Then you've got this lens, the 55 to 200mm telephoto lens. Yeah, this is what you're going to use if you're, you know, going out and there's just something far away and you need a photo or video of it. You know, wildlife photography. And lastly, you've got the pancake lens, the f2.0 22mm lens. This lens really is fantastic for low light situations. Anyway, let's do some comparisons and I'll show you the different looks that you can achieve with each of these lenses. Now, one last thing to consider with these lens comparisons in this video, I'm going to leave it on automatic movie mode. Okay, you can select different ways of recording your video, and you know, different settings on your camera are going to allow you to adjust aperture and ISO and color balance and white balance, all those types of things. Those things can affect the way your picture looks. So to make this lens comparison as simple as possible, this whole video is going to be just on automatic camera mode. Okay, so this is 11mm. This is roughly the distance that you'd be holding the camera from if you had this thing on a selfie stick. You can see quite a lot of context around me. You'll also notice the background is fairly in focus. A vlogging wide angle lens will basically give you a background that's mostly in focus. Now I've changed to the f2.0 22mm pancake lens. This lens does not have image stabilization. You may see the background is slightly a little more blurry, especially some of the flowers that are further away. But you know what, we're pretty damn close right now. I'm going to have to move the tripod back to give you a better view. I'm now standing roughly 4 meters away from the camera using the f2.0 22mm pancake lens. That's what it looks like. And here's where things start to get really interesting. I'm now standing roughly 5 meters away from the camera. I have the 55 to 200mm telephoto lens on the camera. And I'm standing right next to this cherry tree here. So let's move the camera back and see what it looks like. So now I'm about 15 meters away. I'm having to yell because the camera is that far away. Because I'm standing right by the tree, the flowers are pretty much in focus. But you'll notice down there behind me in the lower part of the screen, that's all out of focus. So why don't we change it up? I'm going to keep the camera there, bring the wide angle lens back up, bring the 22mm lens back up, and you'll see how the picture is radically different. Alright, we're changed back to the pancake lens, the f2.0 22mm pancake lens. And the camera is still in the exact same position as it was just a minute ago, using the 55 to 200mm telephoto lens. That's the kind of different picture you can get. Let's go back to the vlogging lens. And we're now back to the 11 to 22mm lens, the wide angle vlogging lens. Again, same position. We've moved this tripod 15 meters or so back from the tree. So you can see, you get a good idea now of how different lenses will really change up the picture, and it depends a lot on, you know, the look that you're going for. But you know, all of this testing thus far has been with the camera on a tripod. So let's go somewhere else and we can walk around a bit and you can see what the image stabilization is going to look like with these lenses while you're moving around. And while we're moving around, we're not going to be using this telephoto lens, because that's just silly. Let me show you why this is silly. You can't vlog with a telephoto lens. Let me show you why. So you want to vlog with a 55mm lens. Well, this is what the image is going to look like and how ridiculously impractical it is. It's ridiculously impractical. I mean, look at this. You can see what I'm doing here, right? In order to get a 55mm lens far enough away from your face that you can talk, this is what you got to do. Yeah, very impractical. You cannot vlog with a 55mm lens. Okay, let's have a look at image stabilization. Now the 200mm lens, we're not going to use it. The 22mm lens, the f2.0, does not have image stabilization. The camera, however, the M6 which I'm using, does have image stabilization. So we'll try it with and without. And the 11 to 22mm lens also has inbuilt image stabilization. So again, we'll try it with and without. So that's the lens having optical image stabilization and the camera having digital image stabilization. This is the 11 to 22mm with digital image stabilization off, set to 11mm. This is the 11 to 22mm with digital image stabilization on, set to 11mm. And this is the 22mm lens, the f2.0, no image stabilization. And this is the f2.0 22mm lens with digital image stabilization. One more thing though, before we finish up, I'm going to jump forward in time and then jump back in time. We need to test these lenses in low light conditions too. So we're going to have to wait till night time, aren't we? Low light test of the 11 to 22mm lens with a bit of ambient street lighting around us. Low light test of the 22mm lens with some ambient street lighting. Low light test of the 55 to 200mm lens set to 55mm with ambient street lighting. Low light test of the 11 to 22mm lens set to 11mm in a darker area. Low light test of the 22mm pancake lens in a darker area. Low light test in a much darker area with the 55 to 200mm lens set to 55mm. So let's summarize here. Clearly at this stage, at the time that I'm making this video, the 22mm pancake lens is the best lens you can currently buy for these Canon mirrorless cameras for low light. But that's about to change because there's an f1.4 32mm lens coming. It's not out yet though, but it will be soon. Alright, let's jump back in time for the conclusion of the video. So, conclusion time. Which lens should you get and why? Well, if you've just gotten the camera, then you've probably got that 15 to 45 kit lens, right? And if you don't want any other lenses, that'll probably do you. That'll be okay. But for vlogging purposes, I would go with the 11 to 22mm lens. That's what I would go with. For wildlife photography, yeah, you need that 55 to 200mm lens. And for low light, well, the only choice is the f2.0 22mm lens. I was actually going to do the end of this video right down here along this row of flowering cherry trees, but we've got helicopters and we've got crowds and we've got frickin' traffic noise. Fuck this place.